Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Student's Opinion. Today, we are continuing our chat with Vaibhav and Neve about the American system of education. Last week, we talked about high school, the years preceding it, and about extracurricular opportunities. Today, we will be focusing on college, the application process, and everything related to post secondary education. So, guys, let's kick things off by discussing the first step toward college, the college application process.
The college application process is, I'd say, quite different than, other places that I've heard from, at least. Basically, it's a giant form. You're filling out a massive form. Thankfully, there's two outlets that you can do it from. So if you're applying to, let's say, University of California College, right, then you have a separate application. But most of the colleges here use something called the Common Application, which is just a website that organizes all of the colleges that you want to apply to in just one space. And again, it's just a giant form. So you're filling out, your majors, what you want, information about your parents, what colleges they attended, whether they attended college or not, what's their current professions, your grades in high school, things like that. You're basically summarizing yourself up. And then after that, there comes the essays, which in my opinion is the worst part about applying to college, because they basically give you a couple prompts and you have to answer them within a certain word count. And you have to make sure that it's the best essay you've ever written, because based on your essay, a college might decide to accept you or not accept you.
And I think in particular, the essays are very crucial because we have a lot of people with good grades. Like, it's not enough to have good grades because there's simply so many people who have that. So you really need a way to set yourself apart from the other applicants, and that's where the essays come in.
Right, so it seems like a really hectic time to be doing college applications. So, you guys have been doing college applications for the past few months. So, what have your experiences been with this?
Well, I think that it's been difficult at some points because it's mainly with the essays again, but part of it is also like deciding a bit of a strategy with which majors to put at each. Like, that's something that I personally did. I didn't apply to all colleges with the same major, but I picked similar majors depending on which I thought would give me a slightly better chance in certain colleges.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that. But yeah, that I could agree. So a lot of people, I've talked to a couple of my friends and figured out that a lot of people actually try to get into some colleges using a backdoor approach, you could say, which is where they find a major that's like kind of similar, but like different enough that it'll like increase their chances of going into college. And then when they're in college, like, within the first year, they'll transition and try to go to a different major. That's another thing that I've seen.
From what I've heard, however, it's not like a good idea to try to like switch into a major always depending on the major. So in my opinion, even if you're gonna pick a different one, you should still pick one that you would be okay sticking with, because it's not always possible to switch into certain majors. Particularly engineering majors are very competitive, along with like business majors. So if you're trying to switch from something else into those, it's often very difficult, and you can't count on it happening successfully.
So, how successful is it, this backdoor approach, usually?
See, I'll say this right now. I know maybe one person. I know two people who are in college right now, that I've actually kept touch with, and those people haven't really used this backdoor approach. I've actually only recently learned about this method. I have a friend who's, I think, going into physics and then trying to transfer into engineering from there, in a couple of colleges, because he said that he think he could do it. So I actually don't know. And the advice I would give is it's not always the right approach because some, again, as Neve mentioned, some majors are not transferable into. So I can't guarantee any success or the fact that it's a reliable method. I'm just saying that it exists and that some people are actually doing it.
Right. So, I've also heard about dual enrollment classes. Could you please explain what those are exactly?
Yeah, I could do that. So dual enrollment is basically one of two ways of completing a actual college level course through a public college or public university. So what happens is that the high school kind of teams up with a college and offers a set of courses that high school students can take while they're in high school. And upon completion, it either gives them a significant amount of high school credits or it gives them, a certain amount of college credits, which they can actually use towards their college transcripts.
So, how exactly is this different from the AP classes? Is it just that you're taking it at a college instead of high school, or are there other differences?
So, one of the biggest things with the AP classes is that the general way to think of them is that what you're learning in 1 year at a high school, at an AP for an AP course at a high school, is basically going to be half a semester's worth of college content. So, let's say you're taking AP Calculus AB, which is the first year of AP Calculus offered at high school. The way that at least I was told was that it's basically the first semester of college level calculus, and so the difference would be that in with colleges, the dual enrollment courses, right? Let's say you take a course for statistics or something like that, right? So that course will be 1 semester long, but you're gonna go through it kind of like an AP class from my experience.
So, then what is the main benefit of taking a dual enrollment course compared to an AP course? I mean, because you get more time in an AP course, so you can probably understand the material better and do better, right?
So yeah, I could see why you would think that, but again, if you pass the college level course, right, the dual enrollment course, then you're guaranteed college credit. For the AP test, you have to take the end of year test, right? That one massive final that the College Board, which is the company that administers these AP tests, they host these tests, right? So you actually have to score. I think like they work off of a 5 point scale, so you need to score at least a 3 or a higher over the entire test to pass. But in a college level course, if you pass, then you're basically guaranteed college credit, and it's always going to be transferable to other colleges, or you're given a lot of high school credits. Like I took a course in pre-statistics sophomore year, right? I passed the class, got an A, and I looked the next semester. It turns out that I had 16 high school credits applied to my transcript, which is crazy considering that one class over the course of the entire year in high school is 10 credits. So basically, I had 3 semesters worth of classes from taking 1 semester of a college level course.
So, Vaibhav, if it's really this beneficial to take a dual enrollment class, then why is it that not many students are doing it? Is it that they're not aware that such opportunities are available, or are these opportunities limited to certain schools?
So this is actually a really, really good question. So there's, I'd say, 3 factors that would go into this. The first factor would be, general awareness, right? I'm a part of my, district. I'm a district school representative for my district, and last year I actually figured out that a lot of people don't know that dual enrollment exists, even though we're sending out emails, we're sending out like Instagram posts, like a lot of things. A lot of students at the end of the day don't really know about dual enrollment enough to actually want to apply to it. All right, so that's a pretty big issue. So you're right on that part. The second part, which is also something that you're right on, is location, because thankfully our district offers dual enrollment, but I'm not sure if every school district would, and that's a potential issue. So that could be a second reason, and the third reason would be the amount of courses that are available, right? So dual enrollment works off of like a list of 10 courses that the college is willing to, teach high school students. So you won't get access to everything. Like for math, pretty much the highest thing you're going to be able to do is pre-statistics, which is a course that you would take before you take statistics, or public speaking, or American Sign Language. So it's not a course that would interest every student. So that's why not every student would take it.
Right, but I've also heard of college courses that you can take as high school students, like any college course. Is that a different program?
Actually, so earlier I mentioned that dual enrollment is one of two ways to get college credit. So I mentioned dual enrollment. I didn't mention the second one, and the second one is exactly what you're talking about. It's called concurrent enrollment. And the thing with concurrent enrollment is that it's a way for you to actually just take any college level course offered at offered to high school students. It's an actual program offered by at least the community colleges near my area. So it might depend on the college that you're trying to you're trying to work with. So some of them might not, some of them might. One thing I will say though is that you need prerequisites. So let's say you're trying to take like multivariable calculus. Like you need to actually be able to give them proof that calculus already to a level that they're satisfied with, so that you can take the course itself.
Right, so I think that would be more beneficial than dual enrollment, since you can take any college class that you're interested in.
I think that honestly depends, because again, the purpose of dual enrollment is either to give college credit or high school credit, or a lot of high school credit, which is very important to a couple of people. Like for me, my grades dropped during sophomore and junior year, so 10th and 11th grade. And I would say that had I not taken pre-statistics, my GPA would be lower than what it is right now. And because of those 16.67 high school credits that were applied to my high school transcript, my GPA improved significantly.
Right, but why is this focus on GPA and hard classes all that important? So where's the payback for all of that?
It's in the application process. So basically, the GPA, right, it's a grade point average. It's basically taking in all the classes you took, right? It assigns numerical values to the letter grades that you receive, and it pumps out an average. And so that average is really, really important to colleges when you're applying, because the higher the number is, that means the less B's or C's you got while you were in high school, which is good. They want to see a successful student, especially the better colleges, right? They want to see people who have good grades. But another thing is challenging courses. Right? Let's say you have a perfect 4.0 GPA. Across high school, you did not receive a single B, but you took, only on-level courses, right? So let's say you're going into an engineering field, right? So you didn't take any AP math courses, you didn't take any AP science courses, and you just stuck with the on-level stuff. You'd have a lower chance of getting in than if you were a student who maybe got like, 1 or 2 Bs, but they challenged themselves like throughout high school, right? They took the harder courses related to their major, right? So they took AP calculus, they took physics, they took computer science, right? AP computer science. So the colleges not only want to see you being successful, but they also want to see that you're challenging yourself, because that's the kind of atmosphere that they want in their own colleges.
So colleges are looking for ways to choose the best students for their college. That way their students have a good experience, a good academic experience, and that the college is enriched by having those students. Is that sort of correct?
Yeah, that's actually really accurate. So from my limited knowledge in how things work in India, I like to draw this comparison a lot. Basically, in India, when you want to apply to college, you're giving entrance examinations, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Vineet. But you're giving entrance examinations, and you gotta, score within a score, right? Based on how many seats there are available and how many people are applying. And if you get that score higher, you come in. But colleges, they want to focus more on the person themselves rather than just the number that's attached. So they want to see those harder courses. They want to see you challenging yourself because that's the atmosphere they have in their school, and that's the atmosphere they want to nurture in a sense.
Yeah, I think even Medhaansh can agree with me on that. That in India, we focus a lot on the final exams and whether you pass that or not to get into college.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Indian colleges, if you would go on to say so, they really don't focus much on what other extra courses you have done. They're just mainly focused on what's your final grade you get in your report in the CBSE, ICSE curriculums that are present in India.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about colleges here, or like just schooling in general. It's a lot more holistic. And the colleges, most of the time, they actually want to know who you are as a person, because to them your personality matters a lot. It doesn't matter if you're insanely smart, but you're not doing any extracurriculars or you're not helping people, right? Because they want to see a good person, and that's what they want at their school. So yeah, challenge yourself. Show you have to basically be able to show the colleges that you're a person, right? They want to know who you are.
So, in that sense, college admissions here in the United States is not that formulaic. So, you do what you want to do, what you're interested in, and based on that, if the colleges can see you and understand that you're actually passionate about what you're doing, then they would be more likely to accept you than if, say, you just did well on a bunch of tests.
Yes, numbers are not everything here. Not anymore, I would say.
So you just said that numbers are not a focus anymore in America, not presently per se, if I'm quoting you correctly. In the past, was it much more number focused, just like India?
So this is going off of like time progression. So yeah, in the past, as far as my knowledge extends, yes, it was number based, right? You had to do good in college, high school. You had to do good in school, and then you'd go to a good college. But that doesn't really apply anymore because people have so many different circumstances. They have different personalities, different interests, right? So it's kind of hard to judge a person based on just numbers on a test, right? So that's like I was saying, that's the one thing that I actually like about the American schooling system is that while they sometimes might not teach you much or anything at all, depending on who's actually teaching you, right? At the end of the day, it also kind of depends on who you are as a person and whether you're like passionate about something and what you're doing to pursue that passion.
That was quite interesting. Let's get to the other point. What about opportunities that are present after college? What would you say so regarding that particular topic?
It really kind of depends on what you want to do after college, right? You go to college, you get your degree. Let's say you get your degree in computer science. What are you going to do with that degree? Well, you could do one of two things. You could either go to a company or start a business and put an emphasis on that around your knowledge, your skills, or you could, I guess, throw your degree out the window and just do whatever you want because you're an adult at that point.
So, just like in high school, there's a lot of freedom about the opportunities you have after college.
Well, yeah, in high school you're still under the control of your parents, or you're still a minor, but after college you're like what, 22, 23. Some people go to college even after, right? And so when they get out, they're an adult and they're treated like one. So you can pretty much do anything you want. I'd say it just kind of depends on your passion. For example, let's say I'm applying to college, right? And I'm applying under computer engineering because it's really interesting for me. But let's say I complete college, right? I'm like 5 years into my job and I decide that, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to become a professional streamer, right? Game streamer or whatever. And so I can actually just, I guess, stop working. And as long as I have the financial stability, I could actually, pursue that.
Then you would say that it really depends on the perspective of why a person might be going to college to study a particular major per se. because he or she might not, he she or they might not follow that particular passion, might not have that passion after 4 years in college, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing that happens. Like you study, you're really interested, or you're kind of interested. Maybe you're not interested at all, but you go into college, right? And you get your degree, you come out. There's a pretty good possibility, I'd say, that if you're not like super passionate about your subject, or your major, you might actually start losing interest in it, especially when you start to, go into the workforce or work like that, start working. So it depends on the person and what their passion is, I'd say. But I'd say there's limitless opportunities of what to do after college. It just depends on the person.
Right. So now you are applying to college and you will be going to college next year. So what have you heard about colleges that you think that, yeah, this might be what I'm going to experience when I do go there?
So my cousin who actually came from India, he's in Iowa right now studying aerospace engineering. He says it's a pretty hectic class, right? The classes that he's taking. But a lot of it's because he's trying to complete his college in 4 years, in 3 years instead of four. So from what I've heard, the college experience is kind of stressful, but only if you make it that stressful for you. Again, to get a degree, all you have to do is pass the class, right? So it's no longer, you have to get A's, you have to get the highest grades possible. You just got to pass the class, maintain your GPA, all that kind of fun stuff. Then you graduate with your degree from that specific college.
Interesting. So, well, with that, I think we can get to the last segment of the podcast. That is the Mythbusters section. So, guys, what is a myth about schooling in America or any aspect in general that is not true but is believed around the world?
Okay, this might sound like a joke, but apparently people believe that there's like a common stereotype that American people are fat, and I do want to confirm. I live in America and I'm not fat.
What about parties?
Parties? I think that's actually very false. It depends on the people. Like I know a handful of people who just do not care about school at all, and I feel like oftentimes these stereotypes are created because of those so-called bad apples, which aren't really bad in this case, but they kind of just set the example, since that's all you basically see in mainstream media. Another thing that could be stated is you see American high schools and like movies and stuff, and how it's like super amazing and the best experience of your life. You're gonna find your true love, or gonna be sports games. Everybody's gonna be hyped. No, that doesn't really happen that much. It depends on the person and what you make of that high school experience, really, at the end of the day. So yes, there are people who party a lot, but there's also a lot of people who, don't like to party, or they prefer studying, or, hanging out with their friends. Just normal human stuff, I'd say.
Well, I think that's it then, guys. Do you have any final words before we end the podcast?
So the American schooling system could be different than what, any of you guys might have. But at the end of the day, all schooling and all what college is pursuing your passion. So if you have something that you truly want to do, I suggest that you actually, pursue that passion, go for that major, graduate, and then do something that you want to do. Because if you're stuck doing something that you don't, then it's going to feel like a chore for the rest of your life.
Thank you for those inspiring words, Vaibhav. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It was a fun experience.
And with that, we conclude our 6th episode here on Student's Opinion. This episode is exclusively available on Spotify for the first 2 days, after which it will be available on YouTube, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when future episodes drop, and comment on what you thought of this episode. Also, check out Vaibhav's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/SpectraVJ. He streams a variety of games there over the weekends, and it's a lot of fun. If you have any questions or suggestions, be sure to email us at contact.thestudentsopinion@gmail.com. For now, it is Medhaansh and I signing off.